what you do in the gun industry.
Yeah, totally. So my name is Kris. I run the Range 702 in Las Vegas. We're just a couple minutes from the strip, and we do a whole bunch of machine gun and local stuff. So my day to day is anywhere from business work to on the range working with clients.
Yeah, and you're awesome. I love seeing you.
That
Um,
for part.
the range is amazing. Okay, and then I'm Paige Roux for anyone who doesn't know me. I'm a Turning Point USA contributor, so I teach students and talk about the Second Amendment and the importance of gun legislation coming out. I'm a full-time firearms instructor in Phoenix, Arizona, and I travel and teach in Vegas quite often. So talking about the UNLV shooting, this happened yesterday, and new information that I've collected because I've had people thankfully reach out to me who, like you, who were either at the event or have some sort of experience with the event that I am allowed to share, that the news doesn't have. So some things that have come out already is that there was only one shooter. And I know you and I were talking yesterday and we couldn't figure out if there was one or two shooters. There was like mixed information on whether there was one or two. So there was one shooter. It was a 67-year-old man. I'm not saying his name because F his name. Um, he was denied to work at UNLV along with other college campuses. There are three victims right now. There's one fighting for their life, and I believe there's three plus in the hospital. And all of them are faculty. So there's no students involved with this event. He used a handgun, and then there was talk of a second shooter, but it was misinformation. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after. But I really want you to talk about. So I get this message from Kris, and of course Kris is everywhere, and she replies to my story because I'm posting about this, and you go, dude, I was there, call me. So your your event is very interesting, and I want like kind of brief or debrief what happened and what happened from your point of view.
Yeah, so my story, I'm going to keep brief for two reasons. Just the privacy of the person and people that I was with. And then also, as I'm about to tell you, I made the choice to walk into that situation. I think we really need to keep the spotlight on all those kids who did not make that choice. So that's the real tragedy. So I was having coffee with my friend just a few minutes away from UNLV. Her daughter attends UNLV. Her daughter was in the building while shots were being fired. Her daughter called her. We immediately, in 10 seconds, got into our vehicle, left our firearms in one vehicle, got into the other vehicle, and drove onto UNLV campus before the police arrived, unarmed. I won't go into all the details. While we were there, we did hear gunshots. We ended up finding her daughter. We left relatively quickly. It felt like we were there for a long time. And when we look back, we were not there that long, and we left as SWAT was coming on to the situation. So we were there quite early, and thankfully got out. We went back there later that night. There was still so many people that were stuck on campus, and then I just got my vehicle 20 minutes ago, and I'm in it right now.
Yeah, so you got there before SWAT got there.
We got there before any of the, well, I believe the campus police were already there because they're on campus, but we
Right.
saw no police presence when we arrived. When I see the reports, we received a call from her daughter a few minutes before 911 was called.
Okay.
So that's interesting. That's
That
like
is
a good,
very interesting.
yeah.
You said yesterday, even because there is a lot of like confusion on whether there was one or two shooters. I was hearing a lot of mixed information too. I did get, obviously, there's confirmation now coming out, and there's more information coming out, but uh, you even said that it sounded like there were two shooters.
It did sound like there was two shooters, and then after there was a police presence, we could obviously hear their radios. So everybody was under the impression, including the police, and the chatter that was going on their radios. Everybody was under the impression there was more than one shooter for some time. And then we left. So from there, when we left, I believe he was already apprehended or dealt with, and they were looking for other shooters. But one thing I heard on the radio was reports of a shooter not confirmed. So
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
hard for information to flow
Mhm.
properly, during those tense times. I understand that.
And I've been talking to a couple individuals, and something that I heard that was um that is confirmed because it's a first person account, but they said in the library there was an individual who was taken down. And taken down, I want to preface, they were not shot, they were literally like taken down to the ground and arrested, because this person was extremely suspicious, like fitting the profile of a
Mhm.
shooter, not agreeing or not doing what police are asking. So this person was taken down. Um, and I think that's where like the misinformation happened of that there was a second shooter. Um, but I heard that this person was extremely suspicious, and which is scary because in this room there were, and this is again a quote, 2,000 plus kids just crouched down waiting to be shot, and they couldn't do anything. They just sat there. Um, so
That's the part that got me when I walked out of that situation. I've been in shootings before. I didn't the whole time, even when I heard gunshots, I didn't have like a crazy fear. I wasn't too worried. Um, but what haunted me right now, all night last night, was seeing the kids crouching in fear with nothing to do. That is something I've never seen or experienced before. And it's not okay. Every situation similar to this that I've been in, there's been multiple armed people there, or at least one.
right,
um, so I've never experienced, first of all, being unarmed. And then I've also never experienced just seeing, it was just very haunting, and it's still something I need to process. Just so many kids sitting there terrified, whimpering, unable to move, literally frozen. It's something that's just I've never experienced before, and it needs to never happen again.
I feel like both you and I, like, I'm just getting chills. I'm so angry. And you were there yesterday. I was there 6 days before the shooting happened. At UNLV, I spoke in the building directly across from where the shooting happened. And I was speaking to students about the importance of the Second Amendment and defending themselves. And literally, I had multiple students express their concern and want to carry on campus. And they're like, this school doesn't allow it. I just want to be able to protect myself. Like, they understand why. And we
Right.
literally talked about this event right before it happened. And I didn't carry on campus, same thing as you. Like, and people are messaging me like, why didn't you just carry? Look, here's the thing. I I'm representing an organization that gets a lot of hate on campuses. So the last thing that I want to do is break a rule because I think I'm immune to those rules, and uh, and cause even more trouble, being arrested, whatever it may be. So I didn't carry on campus, and you didn't carry on campus, and you carry a pretty large gun. And I asked you, I was like, Kris, why didn't you carry? And you made a good point. You were like, there's cops everywhere. They don't know who I am. You have a goal to get in and get out, and you didn't want to be looked at as a target, which I was like, I can totally empathize with that.
Right. So prior to our coffee date, I was at work. So I was wearing what you've seen me wear, and it's not an inconspicuous outfit at all. And I have, a level 2 holster that's like sticking out half the size of me. So I may have made a different decision if I was concealed carrying. One thing I won't do is say, oh, if I would have done it, that's I won't even go there. But I have to agree, I may have made a different decision. Something that just bothered me to the depths of my soul was I work, train, live, I've turned into someone who large part of who I am, and one of my biggest goals in life is to provide myself and those people that I love and those people who are around me who are weaker and need help, to provide them protection. And I couldn't do that yesterday
Hmm.
because I am not allowed to bring my firearm on campus. And it really bothered me, and I started to feel a lot of anger about it. I'm able, willing, I got there. I didn't run into anyone, so it's a moot point, but it gets your like brain kind of working. Like, why would we go to all these lengths to, follow all the rules, do all the paperwork, and then just have our hands tied? And these are our kids. Like, watching those kids just sit there horrified was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And right away it's not okay. This is not okay. Whatever we're doing right now doesn't work. We
Yeah.
cannot keep doing this.
And I get like, look, I empathize with people who want the solution of, or think the solution is to have gun free zones or get rid of guns. But here's the thing, there are hundreds of millions of guns in the United States. So, like, their solution of just removing guns and like poofing them away is not a productive solution. Like, this country was built on firearms. We've never had issues until about 15 years ago. And now it's becoming an issue. So, like, what has changed? It's a lot of mental health, it's a lot of social media. You're literally like, the media is telling these people how to get attention and how to, hey, if I'm angry, oh, I'm just going to shoot something up because the media is covering it. I will be heard. I'm angry with these people, so I want to be heard. And well, I'm going to be heard nationally if I do this. So there were, obviously, there were a lot of firearm owners and concealed carry permit holders on campus. Um, I was told literally no one did anything because they didn't have guns on campus, because law-abiding citizens follow the rules. And it just makes me like think, do you and I have to start breaking the law in order to feel safe? Like, I'm to that point. Like, you're telling me that I need to break the law or break the rules and have the possibility of being arrested in order to feel safe wherever I want to go. Because you and I have the right to go to school, you and I have the right to go on campus, but they're not protecting it. And these people who want to cause evil are not following these rules.
Right. The gun-free zone doesn't work. We were in a gun-free zone yesterday when people got shot. So that we know that doesn't work. It's mind baffling to me that we're still trying to do something that's been disproven over and over. But it really made me think when you posted the UNLV, their policies on what to do. And I have two daughters. I cannot imagine telling my daughters to follow those policies. Just, well, if you can run, but if you think you're going to get shot, then hide. And then if you're still going to get shot, then
Fight
even
with
though he has a
improvised
gun,
weapons.
improvise weapons. And that's my question too. I think, why are improvised weapons okay to defend ourselves with and guns are not?
Mm-hmm.
I,
So
I
the if anyone didn't see it, the policy or like the practice that UNLV has is called run, hide, fight. So it's like run to safety, or if run if it's safe to, hide if you cannot escape, and fight with improvised weapons if you can't do the first two. So, but exactly, like, if someone's coming in with a firearm, they're they're disregarding all laws, right? They don't care. They're coming to murder people, and you're disarming me, and then you're telling me to find an improvised weapon and what, like throw a chair at it? I don't understand. So I'm trying to look up in Arizona if that's where I live, and I'm trying to see if they have a law something to do with concealed carry on campus. I know Idaho does, or Idaho State University, they're able to carry on campus. I know a school that I spoke at in Colorado also is able to carry on campus. So I'm trying to do research on like how they got that passed. I know a bill in Arizona that was introduced about basically saying that colleges cannot restrict CCW permit holders from carrying.
Mm.
I don't know if it was passed. I haven't been able to find out, and I haven't done enough research on it, but I want to know like if it was stopped or vetoed, what the cause of it was, because that needs to happen.
Yeah, we had something similar here too, and it actually involved UNLV. And I looked it up to find the info, and I couldn't find it, but I'll have to follow up. But there was a girl who was assaulted on campus, and then the same gentleman, she was a CCW holder, wasn't carrying because she wasn't allowed to, so she was pretty badly assaulted. And then the gentleman who assaulted her, obviously, she wasn't able to stop him. He went and murdered someone a few nights later. So there was some sort of, I don't know if it was legislation or something happening legally with that, where because she said, "Hey, I could have, I could have stopped him had I had my concealed carry with me." And then not only would she have been able to save herself, but also the next girl who a few nights later
Right.
was murdered as well.
So I want to quote a comment that I got on one of my posts about UNLV when it happened. And this, I feel like this is very common for law abiding citizens, like to a T. Everyone wants to know what the solution is. A lot of people know that, and I think UNLV makes it very, very clear that making a gun-free zone on campus is not the solution. They're like, you're literally stopping us, like you're making us sitting ducks. So this comment came out, and it was just very interesting. So it says, "This is a tough issue. I want to carry a revolver with me at all times because you never know. However, if you just let people carry whenever they want to, any one of them can just take their gun out and start shooting." It's a hard argument. So I hear that argument a lot, and think about it, it's coming from a law abiding citizen who is carrying the gun for good. Anyone who is carrying a gun or taking a gun for evil does not carry every day. They don't get training. They take the gun, they walk in with it, and they start shooting. But what is going to stop that individual is someone like this person carrying a revolver every day or carrying a gun concealed every single day to stop and equalize that person. So this concern for if you just let people carry every day, like there's just going to be shooters everywhere. That's not the case. Like people carry concealed everywhere you go. But if you're
Yeah.
going into establishments and the public carrying concealed, it is for good to stop that one outlier of evil.
Well, I've never heard of an active shooter or, somebody with ill intentions. I've never heard of them checking the laws before they went on their shooting spree. So
Exactly.
I don't think this guy was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go shoot up UNLV. Let me check if it's okay for me to take my gun on campus first." Like
Or
that.
let me make sure that I get my CCW permit, my concealed carry permit.
Right, right. But I knew, and I left my gun, and I had only pure intentions. So I think like that concept really kind of like proves the point of like I went into an area that I should have been armed in all theories, and I chose to obey the laws and also respect law enforcement who was there, and he didn't. And it's just so clear those laws, if somebody decides they want to go shoot somebody up, they're already breaking laws. That's just
And
another one.
that's what's so hard, I think, for us is because we want to follow rules, we respect law, and you're all of this stuff of like making gun-free zones, and especially you and I who are pretty closely tied to this event, you're literally telling us that we have to disarm ourselves, and we're caught because we're like, we do we have to break the law? Like, do I have to break the law now? And
Yeah.
do I have to be okay with that? Like, I don't, anyone who is listening to this, I'm not telling you to break the law and just carry the gun wherever you want, but like, it makes me feel like I have to.
Yeah, well, just what's the answer? If it's not breaking the law and carrying the gun, what's the answer? Because I tell you what I saw yesterday of kids shivering on the floor, terrified, that's not the answer. So I don't know what the answer is then. If it's not arming ourselves, because the
I
plan
think
is not right. It's wrong.
I think it I think there needs to be concealed carry allowance on campus. 100%.
100%.
Follow the state laws, whatever the requirements are, but you need to be able to carry on campus. You need to feel safe and empowered. Yes, that's going to take training. But you I'm like trying to figure out because this needs to happen. Uh so that students feel safe and empowered if they have the constitutional right to carry a firearm. A lot of states are constitutional carry, but then get your permit, whatever you need, so you can go to class, because this was a possible professor, not a student, but a
Yep.
professor. And that's what's very interesting about this event, is that it doesn't fit like the agenda of the administration. It wasn't a rifle, it was a handgun. It No students were targeted. It was all faculty and professors. And it was not random. It wasn't just this, I want attention, or I have this, I'm going to go, shoot this place up. This person was angry. Obviously, more info is going to come out of like the motive, but this does not fit that agenda. And now it's even more clear, like, do you know, yeah, you don't know the mental state of students, but you also don't know the mental state of the adult in the room who you're supposed to trust and look up to.
Yeah, the adult that had one meeting maybe or two meetings at that campus however long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something that I found interesting, which one of my people that I work with reminded me this morning, and I didn't even think about it, was a couple years ago, there was someone who I fired and they did not like that. And they came back and it was a disgruntled person who lost their job. They were armed. We were all armed as well. Nobody got injured. There
Right.
was an arrest. There was an arrest, but nobody got injured. And, you know, it was the same story kind of leading up to that event, but went very differently because we were all armed.
You're able to stop it.
Yeah.
You're not sitting there just crouching.
Right.
Um,
No, none of us sat on the floor and tried to hide. None of us did that.
it's insane.
It
I'm
it Those images are honestly, Paige, just like stuck in my head forever. I'm so upset. I have so much empathy for those children, but I have so much anger that we as a society have decided that's what we're putting our kids through. And those images and then looking at UNLV's policy side by side, it's so intentional.
Yeah.
That's what we've told our children to do. We've told them to lay on the
So,
floor and cry.
well,
It's
and
so disheartening.
that's the whole thing. I mean, that's what I'm teaching and talking about to these students is, I mean, my speech this semester is why your generation hates guns. And I'm specifically talking about Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And these kids grew up you and I grew up trusting and respecting firearms, and there were no issues, right? Or there were very little issues revolving a firearm, but then shootings started happening because they started getting publicized, and then mental health, and then all this snowball of our society is so messed up that these kids are being raised not to respect guns but to fear guns. And the thing that makes me so upset too is like SHOT Show is coming up in January. It's the biggest buying show in the gun industry. And what is the gun industry doing? Like, what are we doing to make sure that we have jobs or that we have the Second Amendment when our kids grow up? Because these two generations that are coming up are the largest generations. They're voting more, and we're literally teaching them to fear guns. And I feel like all we're doing in the gun industry is like trying to beat the next person at coming out with a new gun. There's no, like, what are you doing to help the Second Amendment, to help these young kids arm themselves or understand why they need to arm themselves? Because evil is out there and you need to be able to protect yourself because 911 will not come as fast as you need them to.
No, I mean, and I was close to the campus yesterday, but it was eerie rolling in there before the police did, and it's just a good reminder. Like, this girl called her mom,
Yeah.
and we got there first, and uh our metro and all those teams, they did respond really well, and that's amazing. And it doesn't matter, no matter how well they respond, it's still a horrific incident where people's lives are lost. And really, it comes down to, I mean, we all say this in the industry all the time: you are your own protector, you are your own protector. And I just I it's just mind-boggling to think that people would really, think it's a solution to sit on the floor and just hope you don't get shot, and just lay there knowing what kind of people are out there. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm angry. I sat up last night just trying, I was like, what? I feel like I need to do more. Like, what do I do? How do I help these kids? Um, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think today is important because I think I'm feeling that. Quite a few people. We actually caught a ride with a student who's getting a degree in criminal justice, and she said, and we were talking about it in the car. We made a new friend, which is great. But we were talking about it with her in the car yesterday, and she's like, "What is the answer?" And she was like, "This is not it. This is not the answer. What's the answer?" And she's like, "I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'm getting a degree in this is like," she's like, "I'm studying this," and I firsthand now have learned. She's like, "You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I really thought like guns not on campus was the way to go." She's like, "That's not the way to go." She's like, "I just learned today it's not the way to go." So I think it's gonna be really important for all of us to have conversations over the next couple days and come up with solutions, because we know right now the solution we're using doesn't work. So, it's time to try again. It's time to go back to the drawing board and figure something out. But I hope the next few days are full of thoughtful conversations, instead of, sharing memes and then forgetting that it happened tomorrow.
And that's honestly what has been happening. And honestly, like I'm gonna even put more pressure on. I don't know why, but I'm like really upset with the gun industry. And I'm in the gun
Yeah,
industry.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I are. But like I want to put pressure on gun industry people too. Like, what are you doing? And what are you doing to help the Second Amendment and help with open eyes to the younger generation? Like that is your job. That's our job.
Yeah. And just help them understand and come to a solution and not have to go through an active shooter like this girl that gave us a ride. Let's not have to have them go through an active shooter till their eyes are opened. Let's have thoughtful discussions now and open their eyes before everybody has to go through this kind of tragedy.
Right. Yeah. I'm like I'm gonna think a lot and figure out what to do and how to help these students because I'm so pissed. Like
Yeah.
angry,
Honestly, that's I went through, obviously you go through like all these, emotions, and I was sad for a while, and today I'm just angry, honestly. It's That shouldn't have happened.
yeah,
One
anger
one
about that.
disgruntled man should not be able to take down our whole city. I mean, our city was we people couldn't move like from one place to another. He really One angry man messed our whole city up yesterday. And we should not be operating as a society where that's possible.
Literally weeks before Christmas.
Yeah. Like, there's gonna be angry men out there. We cannot function in this world where we just, on a silver platter, hand them the opportunity to completely ruin us, and that's what we did. That's what we're doing. So, the change has to come.
Ugh, that was a heavy conversation.
I know. I'm,
Um,
like, mentally exhausted at this point.
no, me too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. You're a badass for getting your friend's daughter. And then let's just touch base and think about like if you have other
Yeah.
solutions. If I have solutions, I'll let you know and kind of go from there to put our heads together. And hopefully the gun industry does the same thing because
Yeah. Yeah, literally calling the whole gun industry now. This is not the time to be in competition over a new, whatever release. It's the time to really, like, it comes down to saving our kids, and it sounds corny, and it's really what it is.
yeah, I agree. Huh. Well, thanks, girl.
Thank
Um,
you.
I'm sure you and I will post more and talk about if
Yeah,
information comes out and everything, but we kind of wanted to get all of that information out because we basically had this conversation yesterday and we were like, we should
yeah,
probably, I mean,
right. Yeah, there's important things here that need to be said. So thank you
awesome.
for helping me do that in an organized way.
You're welcome.
My brain was a little bit of a mess, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know, me too. I had to like write it. I was like, okay, coffee and let me write.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, take deep breaths and we will kind of touch base again.
Okay. I love you, girl.
Love you.
Bye.